Welcome back to another edition of Tales from the Trash Can. I am your host, Big Daddy Cold Steel, coming at you with the jawbone of a Greek god and the voice of an angel. And today's episode is going to be about the Dremel 4300 Platinum. Boom, boom, boom. This is my third Dremel drill. Now, I'm going to tell you, first one came broken out of the box. The second one was the Dremel 4300, but it died after 20 days. So this thing came today, and we are going to unbox it, as you see. And the packing crate that it came in was a little bit mangled. So we're hoping that it's not totally destroyed inside. We're going to try not to knock the lights down as we attempt to get this out of the box. So we're just going to drag it off for a second, because I haven't been eating my Wheaties and I can't get it out of the box. Holy cow. Okay, so there we go. And it doesn't look that beat up. Is there anything left in the box? No, that's that. So there it is. That's a nice case that it comes in, huh? I like it. A little better than the other one. The other case was crappy plastic. So this one seems to be a wee bit better. Try and get some of the shadows out there so you guys can see it a little bit better. And let's get right into it. Since I've never seen this one before, I actually have no idea what's in there. Now that's cool. It's a pretty nice case. This is a little bit, all right, more paperwork. But this is a little bit of an upgrade to replace the one that broke. And yeah, that's about it. It looks exactly the same. It comes with this light, which is, I gotta tell you, it's pretty much, oh, that's new. The other one I had didn't have a touch button thing on top. It had a stupid plastic switch. This one actually looks a little brighter, gotta tell you. Oh, that's kind of cool too, because the other collet that it had didn't close all the way like that. It had like a gap. So this thing, it's a little different. Looks a little different. Oh, the slider thingy feels different too, the variable speed. It's definitely a different run of tool than the other one I had. The other one might have been older. Maybe that's why it died. Okay, so here we go. And this is the flex shaft. This is exactly the same as the one I have. Yeah, by the way, if you get this, you have to break these in, you know. So you're supposed to like run it for a little while on low, like 2 minutes on low, with no load. Just let it hang. So you just stretch it up and you let it hang and you go 2 minutes and then you turn it on high and you let it go for 2 minutes. I don't think I can pull it out. But there's like a copper coil in here, and it's greased up. But once you first plug this in, you're gonna feel a good amount of vibration in the hose. And what I found was when the vibration goes away, it's warmed up. And once you've had it for a little while, that only happens the first couple times. So that's the test to see that you've broken it in properly, to make sure that it's not vibrating anymore. So this is an easy grip handle. I didn't have this last time, and I'm curious to see. I think it just rests. That's kind of cool. Something like that just rests on your hand. Let's take this apart. Why not? This thing's a piece of crap, just so you know. So this goes on the front. If you've never had this tool before, you unscrew all this goodness. I think you got to take the collet off. Let's do it. Let's just rip this thing apart. Okay, so all this just unscrews really quickly. Just hold the thumb screw button down. Let's put this one on. It looks like it's cheap, but it's not that bad. Obviously, I would have preferred metal. I think you guys know that. But this just screws on when it wants to. There we go. Okay, but what I'm going to say is it's great for drilling like holes, but so even if you tighten this, you still get a little, well, this one's a little bit better. I'm going to tell you, this is a little bit better. My other one, you used to get a little bit of play, and this definitely is better. If I hadn't returned all that crap, you would have seen that it would wander a little bit, and you don't want that walking away on you when you're trying to do like a precision depth cut or something like that. So I don't use that often, but it is plastic parts, so you got to kind of, you're on your own with that. All right, so this light thing can completely come off. It usually just slides right off the back like that, and you can put it back on without it. Now, that's how I used to run the tool, because I just didn't like this thing in the way, and certain grips you used to have on there used to be kind of uncomfortable, actually, to have that. I've never used this, so I don't know what to expect with that. Huh. I guess it's just like you go like this, or you hold it like that. To be honest with you, I don't love this. Again, a little bit of play in this handle, that kind of sucks. Even if you tighten it up, I don't see the purpose in this. I will never use this. That's just not good that there's play in the tool. Not to mention, you don't get enough precision. So let's say the tip comes out to here. All right, you're too far away. You really want to choke up on this as much as you can. And I have man hands, you know, whatever, so I can hold this. I can hold this like this, and I don't have any problems, but I want to be as close as possible. And then sometimes you got to like rotate it and use your middle finger or something like that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm not specifically in love with that thing. So this is all that came in the top. So now let me move this down a little bit so you can see that there actually is a drawer. Now, I don't know if this camera thing is going to work. Aha. Expert camera work. All right, so this drawer supposedly just slides out. Oh, that's nice. That's pretty good. It's actually not that crappy of a toolbox, considering. It's definitely solid metal. The rolls are pretty good. I mean, it's got actually like track things on the side. It's not just some cheap piece of crap. This thing, another thing you will never use. It's absolute garbage. It's for sharpening, I don't know, like hedge cutters and shit. If you're using that, yeah, you got problems. You have to do that by eye. All right, this thing, another thing, right angle tool, definitely good to have. I didn't get this with the last kit, but I'll tell you that another, just, you know, whatever. I think you just screwed on. I've never done this before, so this is the first time screwing this on. I probably did that wrong. But for instance, if you have the cutoff wheel on it like this and you need to get in there, you can do it like, you know, at an angle. And I guess you could do top finishing like this if you wanted to. But there was one or two things that I definitely need the right angle for, and I didn't have it, and I was contemplating buying it, and I didn't. Okay, so this is a shield. Again, an item I've never used. Probably should. If you're doing some grinding, probably would keep sparks from going down your shirt or in your pants or your boots or something. Again, something I haven't used. One of the reasons is, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little bit of distortion. So if you're trying to do some work, which is like very precision grinding or cutting, you really just don't want any distortion. And it's bad enough that I have goggles and a face shield and that. I don't know. Safety equipment is great, but if you can't see through it, it defeats the purpose if you make bad cuts. All right, so this is an angle situation. Again, I would never rely on this. I have a vise. And I highly recommend doing anything with a Dremel drill in a vise if you can. Lock it down. Do not, and I probably screwed that on backwards, but essentially you get the point that it could be at a 45-degree angle. I guess maybe if you're gonna score something. Honestly, I don't know what you would use this for. But yeah, I guess that could be super neat and fun to eat. But I do everything in a vise, and if I need to, I just turn the angle on the vise. I don't necessarily trust a lot of these crappy plastic parts that come with this. Maybe if you're working with balsa wood or something. But if you're cutting tile or metal, do you really want to put your life in the hands of a piece of plastic? I certainly do not. So, also included in this is this awesome piece of metal. Without this, the whole tool wouldn't work, I guess, because I don't even know what it does. I think it goes with this guy. This is a like a hole cutting saw, right? So somehow or other we put this in the middle and then we spin it around like this and then we can cut holes. And be very careful of what you're cutting with your Dremel. If you want this thing to last a long time, you don't want to be bogging down the motor. It's not gonna last very freaking long if you're doing that. So now I have two little kits. Why they put that in a separate box, I do not know. Unless somebody opened it. No, okay, it looks pretty good. I don't think anybody opened this, but there's a strange piece of plastic on top. I just don't understand the concept of that. We gotta pull this off real quick. And inside, I'll show you that they give you a couple of collets. I'm gonna show you which ones you're gonna use the most. So, this is a little blower. I've not used this yet, and I don't know necessarily if I would. It's supposed to blow the dust away as you're going. I'll give it a shot later. I don't know. I'm gonna play with that. Okay, so two collets you don't want to lose. Silver guy, and this darker one that has these little edging things on there. Okay, this is my go-to collet. Also, yeah, there's another little silver jammy that goes in here, which helps lock it down. And it's probably in the other box. So, no, okay, so here, these two things you absolutely need. This little guy goes in here, all right? And this either goes on the end of your wand, and let's do the wand, all right, you guys, because you're gonna use that the most. So let me just set that up right now, just so that you can see it. But this other silver one is what you need for the wand, okay? And the reason being is that inside here is this square situation, all right? This, whatever it is, the square wire. It's like braided copper wire around that. And this silver thing goes on the end, all right? And then this goes on top of that. I can't tell you how many times I've taken that off and I've forgotten to put the silver thing back on, and it just screams and spins and gets very angry with you, okay? So once that's on, I actually did that backwards and nobody corrected me. This silver tip doesn't go here. Another problem. It goes here, sorry. It goes on the big tool. All right, and then this goes on the edge of there, like that. You just press down, it's like spring loaded. So the tip that was originally on here, this darker tip, you switch back out and you put it on the tip. Sorry, I have very limited room here while I'm trying to make this video. On the edge of here, all right? Don't forget your nifty little silver collet that goes inside there. All right, you hold your button and you twist it down. Now, getting back to that, the reason why I say I use this more than the other one is that you use a wrench to lock it down. So if you're doing anything like grinding, let's say you're using these guys or something like that, or a cutoff wheel, or a big fatty moose knuckle like that, do not use the hand tighten one unless you want the bit that is now traveling at 35,000 RPM to go flying and impale you in the face. So always use the wrench. Super duper important to do that. And inside here, you have some more little doodads. I have found that the Dremel quality tips are just better than the cheapy Chinese ones that you'll get on Amazon. There are some other brands. I just find that these last by far the longest. And the ones that I absolutely love, let me close the drawer real quick, all right? The ones that I absolutely love are these. The locking cutoff wheels. And if I can show you how to assemble this, this will be great, because these are the best. They're also the most expensive of all of them. And ooh, I think, did I get cheesed out of a tip? No. Okay, so these are cool too. But you're gonna go through these like, whoa. So you're gonna need to buy a box of these, and the cheap Chinese wool ones are just as good. All right, don't even worry about that. So you're gonna go through a million of those. Oh, that's a bigger one, that's awesome. All right, so this guy right here, let's put this down. This is my absolute favorite, all right? These go, whoops, with these wheels. These cutoff wheels, man, you can do stainless with these. No problems, all right? Just like any other grinder, like an angle grinder you're gonna use, it's a little bit tricky. So you gotta compress this, and let's see if we can get it in the first shot, and it kind of only goes in this way, all right? You push it in, and then you turn it, and click, it locks. So now you can't get completely flush if you're gonna do, you can't really do this, but if you're using it as an angle grinder, it's awesome. This cutoff disc is so strong, and I have not found one, an aftermarket one, that's anywhere near as good. And what's interesting is that the locking mechanism, let's just use one that's not locked in. Oh, that's an interesting wheel. Yeah, okay, so that's cool. So you can get, it's got like a little bit of a concave surface to it, but the locking wheel, as you can see, does not spin. So the cheap ones, if I can find the universal tip, which I can't find it, but let's just use this guy for an example. So most bits come like this, and on top there's a screw, and you unscrew the top, and you put on there essentially whatever you want to put on there, and then you screw it back in. All right. So if you grab it enough, it's going to spin on that spindle. It's only some cheapy little watch screw holding it on. Except this is Dremel's patented system, this locking system. This goes nowhere. Let me tell you something. It puts all the power of the 1.8 amp motor into this disc. And you don't really have to worry about slippage, which is amazing. But keep in mind that it could bog the tool down. So since the bit is not going to slip, all right, it's not going to slip on the tip. And if you use the locking nut, all right, obviously this is the silver one that goes with the flexible wand, but let's go back to that. If you use the locking nut, it's not going to slip. It's rock solid. It's just keep in mind though, it will put back pressure on the motor. So this unit will get super hot. All right, so if you're cutting something and you start to hear the tool slowing down, well, you need to back off the tool for a second. And chances are I would reduce the speed down as low as you can go, which is 5,000 RPM. I think that's should be 5,000. And give the tool a chance to cool down. You could turn it off, but cut slow. And in the instruction booklet, what they state is just put the wheel to the wheel to the surface you're going to cut. Right? Let's say you're going to cut this wheel, which you're not, but let's say you're going to just rest it on there, and it's going to cut through. You don't need to lean on these. I definitely would not, because you're going to get a lot of sparks, and you risk the disc exploding. Now, I will tell you, I have never had that problem with these. Again, these are expensive, but they last longer. The Dremel brand, buy the Dremel brand. I'm not a paid sponsor. I'm just going to tell you for safety purposes. I've taken a lot of broken tools in the face, in the chest, in the leg. I have not snapped a Dremel bit yet. Now, I'm not encouraging people to go out and try and snap one, but I'm going to say for reliability purposes, you're going to do a lot of cutting with your Dremel. Buy the actual Dremel bits. So this looks like a diamond cutting wheel, and I've never had this one before. That's super groovy. It's got some fake titanium coating.
They kind of missed the spot there.
Yeah, so I'm not assuming that's like real titanium plating on there, but it does look like there's diamond, like a diamond wheel, and it came from Dremel, so I'm gonna trust it more than some of the other wheels. Again, I bought tungsten bits, and I've had to return them because of the fact that they've snapped and went flying and almost impaled me in the face. Okay, so I've never used this little rag wheel before. I've used the solid core polishing wheels, the solid core wool polishing wheels, and I have to tell you, they're phenomenal. Even the cheap ones are just good enough. Just make sure that they don't scratch the surface you're using them for. These sanding drums, I've used them as well. You're gonna go through a million of them, but they're cheaper than actually using these grinding wheels. I think you're supposed to use the grinding wheel more for metal. So per se, if you're going to sharpen something, but I found you can actually use these emery wheels just as much. If you're going to use, you're going to sharpen something like hedge clippers or lawnmower blades. Honestly, I think this is a 60 grit, but this little 60 grit wheel is going to do good enough job to get down the burrs that you need to get rid of. And then in reality, you shouldn't really be using a wheel at that point. You should go to a hand file, unless you're just lazy. But I recommend hand filing very slowly any blade you're going to use. So you get enough tray of these things, and I will say it again, they last way, way, way longer than the generic ones that you can possibly buy. So here's another set of interesting things that comes in this kit. So these are different grit wheels, and these are flush sanding wheels. So we go, I think it's 120, 240. I think we go down to 60. Yeah, if you dig down to the bottom, you get 60 grit. And these go with the same locking collet that was on this. Again, this is tight, so you're gonna need the Kung Fu grip to get this off. You might wanna buy an extra one. So if you're swapping out from wheel to grinder constantly, it's a real pain in the ass. I would just buy extra one of these guys and set it up so you only have to change your bit. You don't have to change the tip. But same thing, look, locks right in, super flush. These things last a while. I actually wet sanded with these things too, and it didn't mention anything about doing so, but I like to push the limits of my tools, so I went ahead and used these to wet sand down some knife blades before I went above 240 grit for a fine polish, and they worked great. So, I go from grinder to these wheels, and it works absolutely fine. So everything that comes in here, with the exception of, say, some wool tips, but they give you these instead. And the one thing that's just completely disappointing is this. Just throw this shit in the garbage, man. This is supposed to be rouge, jeweler's rouge. I can't quite figure out what grit this crap is. I bought some other stuff online, and I compared it, and this is crap. So I wouldn't use this. I would go get other jeweler's rouge, get the correct polish for the metal or whatever it is that you're going to use, and go with it right there. The polish is going to make a huge difference. Not so much the tip, it's the speed, and it's going to be the action of your hand and how you do it. But that's pretty much it. We got all this super secret stuff that comes along with this. I mean, this is the Dremel 4300 Platinum with all this awesome stuff, everything you need to get going, and this awesome case, which I may or may not keep. I'm not positive yet, because I do have a Husky bag that I'm going to put everything in. But once again, Dremel 4300, this is my third model of Dremel, and hopefully this guy lasts a little bit longer than the last ones. And that's about all I have to say. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, this is Cold Steel coming at you, and this is the Dremel 4300 Platinum.